Hello and welcome to this webinar, which is all about getting started with using Careerpilot in your school or college. This is the second of two webinars that introduce you to Careerpilot. So there was an introduction to Careerpilot, which gives a top-line overview, and this is the slightly more involved exploration of the site where you get the opportunity to dig in and try some of the different resources and tools that we have to use in your school. So in this webinar, we will still give you an overview of the site, so you know what to expect from Careerpilot, but then we'll have a look from the student perspective, so see how the student would use Careerpilot and what different tools and activities they might use. We'll then get into looking at the resources that you can use across your school as a careers leader or using in different areas of school or college to support your careers provision. We'll look at how you can use the reporting zone to view reports on the data that's generated by your students' use of the site. And we'll give you the opportunity to start to plan how you might use Careerpilot in your school or setting. So to start with the overview, there are 4 zones on Careerpilot. So the site is designed primarily to cater to the student audience. So there's the student zone that they access directly. But then for the schools or colleges, there's also an advisor zone where there are lots of tools and resources that you can use across your setting as part of your careers strategy. And also a reporting zone where you can access the data that's been generated by the students as they use the site that you can then use for your planning. There's also a parent zone as well that supports parents and carers to support their young people with planning their career and making their next steps. It's worth saying that the Careers website is designed and run by careers practitioners themselves. And we also have an additional tool that schools and colleges can purchase that really supports Gatsby 8 around personal guidance. It's called the Careerpilot Pathway Planner tool. There is a separate webinar that you can attend that gives more details about Pathway Planner. And if you have any questions at all about this tool, then please do contact the Careerpilot helpline for more information. Regarding how the Careerpilot schools are funded, it looks slightly different depending where your school or college is situated. So if you're within this dark green area, you're in our free to use area, which means that our consortium of universities in the Southwest and also of UniConnects are paying for your access to use Careerpilot, which includes access to all 4 zones that I've just mentioned, as well as the free training webinars and access to all of the teaching resources that we have for every year group. The Pathway Planner tool that we mentioned can then be purchased and added as an addition to the main site access. So as I mentioned, if that's of interest, you can find out more about that by contacting our helpline. In order to access all 4 zones, though, within the free-to-use area, it's really important that you have set up a data sharing agreement with us to allow that sharing of data. So you do need to make sure that you've contacted our helpline to set up access to all 4 zones and to complete that data sharing agreement. Schools outside of the free-to-use area can subscribe to use Careerpilot, and that subscription will allow them access to all 4 zones that I've just mentioned, the training webinars and all of the resources. And they can also add on the Pathway Planner tool as well. So you can see the costs that are outlined there. And again, any questions, do contact our helpline. Okay, so in terms of how to use Careerpilot to support that whole school approach, so meeting Gatsby Benchmark 1, we mentioned that students are very much at the heart of this, and it's really about supporting students to become managers of their own careers, so they own their Careerpilot account and they can access that from home as well as in school. But to support the careers leaders within school, we have resources that can be used with students from year 7 all the way through to years 13 and follows that really sort of progressive route through the careers education. We also have additional support for running career sessions within tutor time or PSHE lessons. There is the support for pre and post personal guidance. I mentioned through the parent zone that we have support for parents and carers, and there's also support for subject teachers as well. So in terms of making that link to careers from across the curriculum. The Pathway Planner tool is really designed to support your students around the years 11 and 12, so looking at their post-16 and post-18 options. So let's start with the student zone. So this is the way that students can access Careerpilot and all of the activities and tools that it has to offer. So students will access the homepage at careerpilot.org.uk, and this is the homepage. And you can see from here, they can find out more about different jobs, courses, providers, qualifications from the top there. They can also follow a 3-step process. And this is a 3 steps that they can use throughout their life to manage their careers decisions. So it's all about starting with you, exploring your options, and then planning your next steps. Equally, if you have students that have specific pathways that they know they would like to find out more about, so for example, they're thinking about their GCSEs, they can jump through to a pathway directly from that homepage. It's really important that we encourage students to register on the site so they own their account and they can start to build up their interests and preferences as they use the site. And this is also generating the data at the back end that you as a school can then access to support those students. So this is all being stored as the students are using the site within their career tools. So they can start tagging jobs that they're interested in, and it will be remembering that within the career tools. You could also use the career tools to complete reports when you're working with students that they can view from their career tools, but you can also view from the reporting zone. Something that's really worth just flagging up is on the front homepage as students arrive on the site, there's a little button there where you can watch a video, which is a really great starting point to introduce some ways of thinking about getting ready for a future career. So the video touches on 4 stages: getting to know yourself, doing stuff to build up your skills, knowing what all your options are, and using your supporters. So just making sure that you're aware of that video, because it's a really great entry point for students to start thinking about their future careers. As mentioned, as students are using the site, they can be tagging their interests as they go along. So if they're looking at a particular job sector, they can add that to their job sectors, and that will be remembered for later on. So you can see that within the career tools. This is also logging any job profiles that have been viewed as well. So again, when a student comes back into their account at a later date, they can see any of the job profiles that they've looked at previously. As we mentioned, this is all about 3 stages of career decision making. So there's the start with you. So if students click on that first stage, it opens up some useful activities that they could use to explore their own interests, values, strengths, and skills that they can then use to explore jobs that might relate to those strengths. So there are jobs quizzes, a skills profile that you can search for jobs relating to a favourite subject, relating to a value that's important to you. So lots of different and useful tools that students can use there. The next stage is exploring their options. So there's lots of information to support students around their post-16 or post-18 options, or if they're thinking about choosing their GCSEs, they can pick the options that's relevant for their age group. And then lastly, there's the plan the next steps. So again, there are tools and activities that help them to plan how to move forward, having looked at their options and really knowing a little bit more about themselves. So they can set action points that they can review themselves or can review with some support within the school. Just a few new additions to Careerpilot over the last year that I just wanted to flag up. I mentioned there about the strengths and values, which relates to that knowing yourself and can be found within the Start With You. So this really opens up some sort of thinking really around strengths and values that students might have and where those might lead in the future in terms of jobs. So whether they're interested in preventing climate change or really want to find a job where it's all about earning lots of money, whatever the starting point might be, there's support there for students to see where that might take them. So for example, if they wanted to do a job that's creative, they can click on there, they can get a list of different jobs that allow them to be creative within their working life. And there's some support to help them develop their creativity skills in order to support those particular career choices. We have added on just this term a couple more strengths as well. So there's one around using practical skills in a job, and there's also one around using dyslexia strengths within the career. If students are searching for jobs by job sector, they can then explore lots of different job profiles within each of the sectors. And these job profiles give them lots of useful LMI, so labour market information, that they may find useful, particularly when comparing jobs. So they can look at what they might earn, so their salary, what sort of hours they might work, whether that job is set to grow or not. They can look at what the day-to-day tasks might be if they were doing that job, and really importantly, what the entry requirements are, or what the routes into that job might be, looking at different routes, whether it's going via a college course or university or an apprenticeship, or other different routes into that particular job. We've also added on some really useful regional LMI as well. So students can have a look and see the number of people that are currently working in that job by their region across the UK. And they can also look at live job vacancies as well. So really get a feel for what the local employers are in their area and what they're looking for in terms of employees. So again, another new addition to Careerpilot for this year within the jobs section. We also now have a job search around green jobs, which a lot of schools are finding particularly useful as they're looking at talking more to their students about which of the jobs would be classified as green jobs. So we've highlighted a few green jobs here that students can have a look at in more detail, and there will be more information added around this over the coming years. So everything that the student is doing within the site where they are tagging is being captured within their career tools. So students can have a look in their career tools at the dashboard that gives a summary of different activities they've completed and things that they're interested in. That's all being stored there. And as mentioned, you could be working to write up a report following personal guidance with a student, and that again will be saved within the career tools, and you can access it yourself from the back end of the reporting zone as well. So there's lots of information there that's going to be helpful for you to understand the individual needs of your students, and this report moves up with them each year. So in terms of using the reporting zone and the advisor zone, when you've been set up on the reporting zone, you will have an admin login, and that allows you to move between those different sites. So you can have a look at the student zone and then move through into the reporting zone and the advisor zone, and it will give you full access. So if you already have access set up for your reporting zone already, then you can have a look, and we've set up a special training school as a sort of practice school within the reporting zone, which will allow you to have a play and just set up some groups that without actually affecting any of your own school data. So if that's useful for you, please do have a look in the reporting zone, have a look at the training school and have a play around with it there. If you don't already have reporting zones set up for your school, as mentioned before, you do need to complete the data sharing agreement. So please contact the Careerpilot helpline to set that up for you. So the first task we'd like you to do as part of this session is to be a student and experience Careerpilot as a student. So if you log in at the top right-hand side of the homepage, log in there, so you'll be as a student. If you've got the set up as admin, then you can go back from the reporting zone back into the Careerpilot main student site, as you can see there. So if it comes up and it's not the home page and you're seeing that page there with the admin access, you can toggle back to the Careerpilot page from there, or from the top right-hand corner where your name is, you should be able to drop down to click on admin to move between the two zones. What I'm going to ask you to do is to think of a year group that you want to work with, and then go to the home page, go to Start With You, and go and explore activities for your chosen year group. So it's called Activities for Your Age. If you have a go at doing those activities for your chosen year group and tag different things as you go along, you would then be able to have a look in career tools to see what that looks like from a student perspective. So you can start to build up a bit of an individual picture of your usage on the site. So if you'd like to have a go at doing that, and pause the video now, and then when you've explored the student part of the site, then please press play again. Okay, so we're going to have a look now at the resources to support your delivery, and we're just going to look at how they relate to the CDI framework and also Gatsby benchmarks as well. So as mentioned, we've really looked at how our resources can tie in with the CDI framework if that's something that you're using within school. So as mentioned before, you need to make sure that you've got that admin login to access everything within the advisor zone. Once you're in the advisor zone, which you can access from the home page at the top, you'll see there's a little button for the advisor zone. When you get into there, you'll see there's a range of tiles that you can choose from with lots of access to different information. New for this year, we have some new careers lessons, which I'll go on to mention, and we also have some new hot jobs as well. But the main place that you will find lots of information to support you to get started with using Careerpilot across your school would be within the Career Leader portal. So within the Career Leader portal, there are resources to support you with running a stable careers program across your school. So you will find the Getting Started with Careerpilot booklet, which hopefully you will have already received along with the link to this particular video, but you can also download it from there. And within there, you can see there's a progressive program that you could use for Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4, where you can have a look at the different activities that you could use and how they map against the Gatsby benchmarks. And we've also put in there an overview so you can see how the 5-week careers lessons are mapped to the CDI framework. You can also find within the Careers Leader portal lots of really useful information about how our resources can be mapped to Gatsby, and also how you can use that to then complete your Compass Plus as well at the end of the year. So hopefully this is useful for you to help to really look at how you're using Careerpilot and how it's meeting the Gatsby benchmarks. So looking at the careers lessons, first of all, as mentioned, we have a set of 5 careers lessons per year group, and they are progressive. So year 7 is starting with exploring jobs. Year 8's really thinking about themselves, knowing more about their skills. Then year 8, 9 is looking at Key Stage 4 options, so choosing GCSEs. And then it goes right through to looking at post-16 options and post-18 options as you move through the school. So it has that really clear progression to support the students with the information they need at the key times that they need them. So this careers programme, as mentioned, it's mapped to the Gatsby benchmarks. And it has 5 sessions per year group. You don't have to use every single session, because we know sometimes time is limited within schools. So the lesson 1 will work as a standalone lesson, as either an introduction for the programme or as a standalone. And we have recorded a version of the first lesson that you can use if you prefer to deliver through a video rather than delivering independently. So there is the choice of the video or the PowerPoint that you can use there. And you will see with every lesson, we've made it really clear what the outcomes will be mapped against the CDI framework. So you can see the example here is looking at how this particular lesson is helping students to manage their career. So understanding that career is a journey and looking towards what they might like to do in the future, but also understanding how they can explore possibilities. So showing them how they can search for different jobs and look at different job sectors. The structure of each lesson is introduction with a short task. In fact, I can show you here. And then going through into using Careerpilot for the main activities of the lesson. And then within the plenary, sharing what they found out working in partners. So getting that opportunity to use some of the skills around communication, speaking and listening. We also have within the advisor zone some quick activities. So if time is really limited for you, you might like to look at some of these quick activities that can be delivered within 15 to 20 minutes. These could be used in tutor times, and we have some offline activities as well as online activities. We also have lots of hot jobs resources, which are really popular with schools. So we've had the NHS resources for some time. We've also added in the last year a set of green hot jobs. So there are posters there and lesson activities that you can download and use. And then new for this year, we've also added a set of hot jobs around the digital and IT sector. So all of these hot jobs are jobs that are set to grow over the coming years. So it's really highlighting to our students a whole range of different jobs that they might not have been aware of, and giving them some really useful LMI to learn more about those particular jobs. You can also download resources for subject teachers. So we've got a set of subject resources for Key Stage 4 and for Key Stage 5. These are really simple one-pagers that just give some top tips for how subject teachers can make the link from their particular subject to careers that are relevant. So there are suggestions of videos, TED Talks, lots of different ideas of different things that the teachers could talk about with their students to make that link across the curriculum. Okay, so I want to again give you some time to have a look at some of the resources that I've just talked through there. So if you could pause the video in a minute and log in again to Careerpilot, click onto the Advisor Zone, which you can see at the top of the home page. Have a look at the 5-week career programme we just mentioned. Have a look at the 20-minute tutor time activities, which are called quick activities, and also the resources for subject teachers. And have a think about which ones you might use, which ones would be useful for you. So again, if you'd like to pause the video here and have an explore, and then we'll come back to continue. Okay, so we're now just going to have a quick look at what you can see in the reporting zone, which we've touched on previously. This is where you can actually see the data that's being generated by your students as they use the site. And you can use this data to really support your planning within school around careers. So when you log in to the reporting zone, you can access that from the top right-hand corner from where your name is, and you can just click on the button next to your name, the little arrow, that then brings up admin. If you click on admin, that takes you into this admin dashboard. As you can see, you can toggle back to the Careerpilot student site from here, or also the Advisor Zone from here. But ultimately, this gives you access to different reports and data on your users and groups. So you can set up groups, so you can put certain students into particular groups and give other members of staff access to those groups to see that data. And you can also run off reports by group or by individual. As mentioned, it's the top right-hand corner where you can access this. You just click on admin. So when you're in the reporting zone, as mentioned, the students are generating data for you. So you can run off reports by group, and set that up, and you can have a look at lots of different reports. So it might be that you look at the job sector choices made by students. You could look at a particular year group and see what are the job sectors that they are particularly interested in. If you've got a group of students that are particularly interested in law, for example, that might be a useful bit of information for you when you're thinking about planning some employer encounters, or a group of students that are interested in construction, and you might be thinking about what some of those employers are that might be able to run encounters in school, or thinking about planning work experience. So hopefully that will be useful for you to support you with your planning. You can also run off a report by task completed. So this is really useful if you've set students a task to complete on Careerpilot. You can see who has completed it. It might be that you set a task for students to complete as homework and you want to just see whether they've completed it, or just generally to see across a year group before teaching what they've already completed. You can also look at reports by individual as well. So this is really useful to support pre and post personal guidance sessions. So you can download full reports from here, and you can have a look at the job sector choices, qualification choices, etc. For an individual. You can also look at previous annual reports as well on there. And if you want to add in a report, you can do that from here. You can add comments. You can also add actions as well. And the student will be able to see this report within their career tools from their own access. So it's super helpful to support both you and the student. Okay, so that's the reporting zone. I just wanted to mention just a couple more useful things that you can find within the advisor zone, because if you're using Careerpilot for the first time across the school, you might want to be communicating more widely to other members how they can use Careerpilot and what you have on offer. So there is a tile within the advisor zone for introducing the site to parents and teachers. So if you click on there, there are some email templates that you can use for talking about Careerpilot and sharing that more widely across your school community. There's also a tile within the advisor zone for you to sign up for any more webinars or free training sessions. So you can see there's links through to various different training sessions that we have running throughout the year. And lastly, we mentioned we have the parent zone as well. This can be accessed from the home page. Again, right next to the advisor zone button, there's the parent zone button, and you can share this link with your parent and carer community. And it's a really useful site that's specifically aimed at parents and carers of young people to support them, to support their young people around their choices at 16 or choices at 18, with lots of really useful information. So we've really based this on the frequently asked questions that schools get from parents and giving them the information and advice to support them. And then lastly, just to mention that as a school, we celebrate those schools that use Careerpilot in an embedded way. So we call our super users, we celebrate super users each year, and they are the schools that have promoted Careerpilot to their school communities. So they have a link on their website to Careerpilot. They have set up the reporting zone access, and they're using with over 100 students. This is slightly less for SEND schools, but for mainstream schools, it's 100 plus students. Once you've met the criteria to become a Careerpilot super user, this does open up some new opportunities for you, because we offer you some exclusive access to new resources as we develop them, but also we run webinars for parents and carers that we give exclusive access to our super user schools. So they can share with their parent community, and they can join us for a live session on post-16 options and post-18 options. Okay, so finally, just to finish off this webinar, we've talked there about how you can use the site as a student, and you've seen lots of different ways that you can access resources through the site. Within the booklet that we've sent you on getting started with, there is a planning sheet in there that you can use to have a look through Careerpilot and to make a note of the different resources that you might use with different year groups. So hopefully this is a useful way of capturing how you can make best use of Careerpilot, and it also prompts you to think about which Gatsby benchmarks it's going to help with as well. So I hope you find this useful to do as a follow-up to this session. In the meantime, if you have any questions at all about anything that we've talked about within this webinar, you can contact the Careerpilot helpline. And you can see there that the helpline runs term time from school hours 9 till 3, and you can phone that number, or alternatively you can email the helpline and they will get back to you to help with any questions that you might have. I hope you found this session useful, and I hope you enjoy getting started with using Careerpilot with your school or college. Thank you.